powerful relic from the past, Kyle, is what you just described to me. A Pogs slammer with a Stussy symbol on it? Talk about a magical artifact. DarbyCast Wildcard Friday, Kyle and I are talking about objects of significance. A Pog slammer with a Stussy etching on it is no joke. But what's more important than that? Very few things, right? But on the DarbyCast, we are known to do some bold time travel adventures, and today is one of them. Kyle, I feel inspired by your Pog call out. We've traveled to a lot of different time periods so far, have we not, Kyle? But I think this time travel journey is going to be pretty serious and in a lot of ways inappropriate, which is actually pretty cool if you think about it. When are we going? Now. When are we traveling to ancient Rome? To visit with whom? That's right, Marcus Aurelius. Smart guy, relaxed, but in an intense way. Very tough to pull off. Stoicism, Kyle. If you're new to the DarbyCast, this is going to be pretty jarring, pretty jolting, but I'm going to ask you to suspend your judgment until the end. And then you can decide for yourself whether this is the best time you've ever had in your entire life, unequivocally. But let's set the stage, Kyle. We are heroes, per usual. Nothing has changed so far. But who do we need for this time travel journey to make things work and recover a pretty special artifact? I'll tell you about this team. First off, me. Second, Kyle. Kyle, in this journey, I think it makes the most sense to transform you into a dog, into a bloodhound. Very smart, very courageous. Also, I think it makes sense to bring Nicolas Cage, who will not break character for any reason. He will be fully in his defining role as Benjamin Franklin Gates of the National Treasure series. If we're searching for treasure and we don't bring him, we're making a mistake, right? Also, Illuminati Mike. We need Illuminati Mike because there could be stuff that requires some Illuminati Mikery, Kyle. We're also going to need a female. And who's that going to be, Kyle? That's right. None other than Katrina. Odd choice, but she's part of the crew. And finally, Joe Biden. Let's bring Joe along. Boy, is he a disaster. Did you see that thing with him and Fetterman the other day? Where it was just word salad? It was like a salad inside a tornado, but with words. Wordsaladtornado.com. And then, of course, the most important member of the treasure hunting crew, quite obviously, is you, the DarbyCast doctor, the listener. Key instincts, lot of potential, ethics. So close your eyes and transport yourself to a beautiful underground lair where we are all huddled around a really big desk. More of a table than a desk, if we're being honest with each other. But I have placed a map out on the table. And what do I say? Look at this, guys. And the crew responds.
Hell yeah, you big fucking jerks. What are we doing here? I am already 5 mimosas deep, and I just want to say that I really love that song. I like to move it, move it.
So we're already beginning to wonder why Katrina was included in this, but it's 2023, yay women, she's here. Nicolas Cage, aka Benjamin Gates, responds to the entire situation with a thoughtful monologue.
Damn it, Katrina. We're world-class treasure hunters, and you need to stay laser-focused. Don't be an ignorant slut and pay attention. We will be searching for Minerva's helmet of wisdom. Legend has it that the wearer will be imbued with the knowledge and charisma necessary to steer civilization in the correct direction. Hi, Kyle. You're a good dog.
Illuminati Mike stays quiet and stoic. He's already over-indexing quite heavily on his inner Marcus Aurelius. But let's take a moment and applaud Benjamin Franklin Gates, and that he's an animal lover and he's very goal-oriented. We need that if we're going to find what? That's right, Minerva's helmet of wisdom in ancient Rome to steer civilization in the correct direction. Isn't that right, Kyle? Woof, woof. You get it? Joe Biden chimes in with his thoughts on the adventure.
Listen, folks, this isn't a barbershop quartet inside an Applebee's on Taco Tuesday. Dinosaurs and billy goats, Luke Skywalker, ranch dressing.
So we're all beginning to wonder pretty quickly what Biden's even doing here, but why not, right? That's what I have to say to anybody who would say Joe Biden can't do anything at all in the past, present, or future. I say, you're probably right, but he's here. He's in the archaeological secret cool guy area, which is where we're at. Now, some of you right now just got butterflies in your stomach because you're thinking to yourselves, this is pretty immersive in a way that I haven't really experienced before. I can't wait to enter the time machine and do things right. And that's just taking the words right out of my mouth, right? You, an aspiring archaeologist and a leader, you have this hopeful attitude where you have seen the way things have been going in this country. You don't quite know what's really going on, but that doesn't mean that you can't hop in a time machine, the SS DarbyCast, aircraft carrier style dimensions, and reclaim the future with a helmet. Kyle barks enthusiastically, letting us all know that it's time to go. So we waltz outside and we see this beautiful time machine equipped with a very impressive snack room, which longtime listeners of the DarbyCast really appreciate. Doritos, Pringles, beef jerky, teriyaki flavored, thousands of sleeves of fruit Mentos, Pop Rocks, different flavored Pop Rocks at that. Variety. It's the spice of life. Kyle, what else is in the snack room? A selection of gluten-free desserts. That, of course, was a test. If any of you got excited for gluten-free desserts, you're going to want to go ahead and turn off the podcast. That's disgusting. Nobody claimed that time travel journeys were going to be straightforward, easy. But if you fail on a snack test like that, boy, are you going to be a bigger liability than Joe Biden ever could be. Because we all know what's going to happen with Biden. He's probably going to wander off or fall over, and that'll just be the end of him. But we can't entertain the idea of having a dope who doesn't make good food choices on a journey as important as this, looking for Minerva's helmet of wisdom. The scholars listening to this are asking themselves right now, Minerva, isn't that the Roman equivalent of the Greek goddess of wisdom, Athena? Yes, it is. Good job. Anyone who asked that question, boy, are you an asset. So we enter the time machine, all of us. Nicolas Cage, Illuminati Mike, you, me, Joe Biden, Kyle the dog, and Katrina. And we all get pretty comfortable, except you, of course, who is so dazzled by the technology and the responsibility that comes with a mission like this that you can't sit down. In fact, you go straight up to the command interface and you punch in the time coordinates for January 6th, the year 180. This is going to be the January 6th that people remember, by the way. January 6th of 2021. Was that the year it happened, Kyle? What a joke. It's time for us to reclaim January 6th as the day that some pretty amazing treasure hunters altered the course of history. But you look over at me and you say, would you mind if I punched in the time coordinates and zapped us back? I give you a really slow but also assertive thumbs up, and then you go for it. We're developing some pretty strong rapport early, you and I, and that's one of the most important things that you can really have when it comes to anything. Before you hit the button, you pull out a pig's hoof and you toss it to Kyle, the dog. Kyle loves it. Nicolas Cage as Benjamin Franklin Gates and you are now competing for who is the best animal lover. It's a friendly competition, but there is a little bit of tension. You hit the button, and with flashes of lightning and rumbles of justice, we find ourselves in ancient Rome, and it is breathtaking. My goodness. Kyle runs out of the time machine, goes and pees all over a lot of different things, claiming various statues as his own, as dogs do. Kyle, by the way, we all think you're pretty amazing, and so do the other Roman people, and you're blending right in, but we don't. So what do? We go to the wardrobe whodunit of the time machine, and we get ourselves into appropriate clothes. Joe Biden poos all over his toga, but thankfully we have an extra one because we figured he's pretty old. Old people have a lot of poo accidents. Some of them do. Joe Biden is certainly one of them. What do we hear? Kyle, what do your ears hear? Cheers. That's right. It's a Saturday. It's January 6th, year 180. And what does that mean? It's gladiator match day, of course. You turn to Nicolas Cage and you say, Benjamin Franklin Gates. You address him with his full character name. You say, what's the play? You're a cryptologist. You understand puzzles and riddles. What do we do here? Benjamin Gates says,
Our job is to find the artifact, but to find the artifact, we'll need help. Emperor Marcus Aurelius will undoubtedly be at the Colosseum. If we can impress him, we can gain an audience with him to gather vital info that will lead us towards the helmet.
Katrina, without missing a beat, says,
I don't want to brag, but I'm the helmet expert of this team if you catch my drift. Wink, wink. I am so wet to find this thing. Hell yeah, right fucking there.
Illuminati Mike pops in with a little bit of wisdom and morality, and he says,
Brother, that's not appropriate. We're on a mission, Katrina.
And that's a tremendous call out, and we all know it. You know it a lot. So we make our way towards the Colosseum, and we hear the slashing of swords and the clanging of metal. We enter through the fighters' pits and put on some pretty impressive looking armor. You, me, Nicolas Cage, Illuminati Mike, Katrina, Kyle, and Joe Biden make their way to the stands, which is fair. Katrina's drunk and not super strong, plus her skill set is very mouth-centric and not necessarily one that translates well to fights to the death. Joe Biden, upon entering the Coliseum stands, he falls down a lot of stairs. He falls down like 30 stairs, made of stone, but he's used to doing that. And everybody's so caught up in the action of the day. There's an electricity to this Saturday gladiator match, Kyle. But it's too amazing for anybody to focus on Joe Biden. So he just falls down those 30 stairs and nobody helps him. But then he just takes a nap. Illuminati Mike decides to use a warhammer, which is fitting for him because he's a pretty big guy. You are a spear wielding kind of individual. I use the gladius sword, industry standard. Nicolas Cage goes for a bow and arrow. And the four of us make our way out into the Coliseum. And the crowd loves us. Before we even do a damn thing, they're like, yeah, fuck yeah. And that feels pretty good. There's already a gladiator match taking place. It's a 2v2, but it's really our time to shine. So we go out and we kill everybody pretty quickly. Nicolas Cage, couple arrows to some guys' faces. And then you finish them off with the spear to the heart. Brutal, but at the same time, efficient. So nobody's mad at you. Kyle from the stands, as a dog, barks pretty loudly. You hear him. Your dog is proud of you. Kyle's becoming your dog. He started off as my dog, but he's sensing that you're a leader. And that feels pretty good. I have mixed emotions. Kyle and I have a pretty long-standing relationship. I'm a little confused. The crowd's loving us, though. We scan the crowd, and in the coolest section is quite obviously Marcus Aurelius, who has an attitude, unspoken, but very obvious, of being a cool guy. He just has that vibe to him. Body language is so relaxed, but he's also paying attention. Such a tough balance to strike as a leader. Relaxed intensity, Kyle. You make eye contact with Marcus Aurelius and he mouths out the words to you. He says, "You guys seem pretty cool." And how refreshing is that? To get a compliment from a leader. Leader to a leader, cool guy to a cool guy, right? To get a compliment from Marcus Aurelius like that, he didn't have to do that. But then the next match begins, and a barbarian horde of illiterate simpletons with weapons fill the Colosseum. There's about 20 of them. 20v4? Scary stuff. Or it would be, if not for your skill set of total pro. Put that on your resume for your next job interview. 3 words. A total pro. We look to you, novice archaeologist, and we say, what do? Quite naturally, you say, give them hell. Fuck these guys. And that's what we needed to hear. I don't try to bookend what you just said with an additional comment, because I'm here to foster your leadership skills, not undermine them. Nicolas Cage chimes in and says,
I'm a cryptologist, not a fighter. I have a degree in history, not a degree in combat.
You, brimming with leadership, respond, well, Benjamin Franklin Gates, pretend that this is one big puzzle and that to solve the riddle, everybody just needs to die. Off in the distance, we all hear Katrina yell,
"Whoever wins the match gets to gangbang me." Yeah, hell yeah, right fucking there.
Such a weird thing to say as a sports fan, right? None of us are going to take Katrina up on that. She just seems like she's probably got a lot of STDs. And she's our friend, so we want to look out for her and be like, don't, Katrina, you don't have to live this way anymore. You're not just 3 holes. You're a person, Katrina. Cut it out. That's the conversation that we need to have with Katrina at some point. None of us are looking forward to it. That should be something that she understands by virtue of a sturdy relationship with her father. But it's obvious that she doesn't have one of those. So we may have to step up and give her a little bit of coaching. I turn to you and I say, I'll do it. I'm going to bite the bullet on this one. I'll take her aside, give her kind of a pep talk and set her straight. I don't want you to have to do this. You're a good leader, but I'm a great leader. I got this. We high five pretty hard. Amazing that the barbarians have not attacked us yet. And why is that? Because Illuminati Mike, pro bodybuilder, is engaging in a flex off with the barbarians. And he's kicking the shit out of them. Mike knows all the poses and is undermining the barbarians' confidence in their physical abilities. Heady play by Mike. You're an archaeologist, but you're also kind of a chemist in that you know quite a few things about the elements, chiefly the element of surprise. And so you take your spear and you throw it and it catches one of the barbarians in the chest so hard that he dies instantly. Illuminati Mike follows suit and does somewhat of a hurricane-style spinneroonie with the warhammer and just starts smashing skulls. Nicolas Cage, Benjamin Franklin Gates, treats this whole thing like a puzzle and puts all the pieces into play that need to be put into the correct position. What does that mean? Lot of arrows to eye sockets. All the barbarians are dead except one, in no time flat. But then what happens? That's right, it's me. I happen. I take my sword and square off with this big, ugly dude. He is so ugly. I slice his hamstrings, and he falls to his knees, and then I look at Marcus Aurelius, and I know in that moment that I've got to ice this barbarian chief in a way that Marcus Aurelius finds impressive. Otherwise, there's no way he's going to invite us to the post-game party. Illuminati Mike has resumed flexing, now for the crowd, not the barbarians. Crowd's loving it. But I am toying with this barbarian chieftain. I slash all of his limbs off, and then I decapitate him. And then the four of us, you, me, Cage, and Illuminati Mike, we play a 2-on-2 quick little soccer match with his head. Pretty brutal, pretty disgusting, but Marcus Aurelius finds it charming and innovative. And boy, does he respect people who think outside the box. And so he just calls out, hey, you guys, my place after this. Let's fucking go. And so we're in. We collect Katrina, Kyle, and Joe Biden, and we go up to the owner's box of the Coliseum. And Marcus Aurelius offers us grapes and wine and bread, but it doesn't stop there. Cheese as well. And we're posting up pretty hard, putting out the vibe, feeling like world-class athletes. But Marcus Aurelius asks, what can I help you with? What's really going on here? Joe Biden steps up and says,
Think about it. No, seriously, I mean it. Black people touched my leg hair one day at a pool party, and I loved it. And that's what makes this nation so black. Black people. This isn't a joke. I mean it.
Marcus Aurelius has no idea what's going on. Frankly, none of us do. But I turn to you and I say, why don't you tell him what's really going on? But before you can open your mouth, Katrina pipes in.
We're looking for a special helmet. Truth be told, though, I'm always looking for special helmets. You know what I'm talking about, you big fucking jerk? But it's metal or something, and it has, powers. I don't know. I'm just trying to party. Yeah, hell yeah, fuck yeah, right fucking there. Fuck yeah.
You and I roll our eyes and chuckle a little bit, and you mouth out the words to me and say, what a slut. But then Nick Cage, as Benjamin Franklin Gates, steps up and actually explains what's really going on.
Where we come from, our empire is declining in a monumental fashion. We need Minerva's helmet of wisdom in order to save our society from collapsing. If you can help us, you can keep Katrina as an executive assistant or something.
Marcus Aurelius mulls it over for a second, and then he asks me, takes me aside. He says, does she have diseases? And I say to him, yeah, probably. And Marcus Aurelius, good guy, he says, you know what? I don't need an executive assistant. You guys seem pretty cool, so I just want to help you out because it's the right thing to do. And we all kind of take a moment and reflect on what an amazing leadership call out that is. That's a gift. When you do something and you don't expect anything in return. Really alpha play. Joe Biden is looking over the balcony of the executive skybox at the Coliseum. He leans a little too far, and boy does he die by falling off. Marcus Aurelius takes a pause and he's like, what do you want to do about that? And we all say nothing. It's fine. And then Marcus Aurelius leads us underneath the Coliseum, secret passageway, and we find ourselves in front of a door with a riddle on it. The riddle reads as follows. the more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I? Katrina takes a stab at it and says,
It's mimosas. No, wait, it's cocaine. Or maybe it's DoorDash drivers named Esteban.
all good guesses, right? But the door doesn't move. But then Nicolas Cage steps up.
Katrina, are you still drunk? The more you take, the more you leave behind. It's footsteps.
Kyle barks pretty loudly, and Nick Cage says,
Good boy, Kyle, you're a good dog. But Illuminati Mike, you're my dog. I hope I can say that. You know what I mean, right? I've never been able to crack the riddle of talking street. But that doesn't mean the puzzle that is friendship isn't worth decoding.
and I think we can all appreciate that kind of message. Not always easy to talk street, but I think Nick Cage did a fine job. Marcus Aurelius is really impressed with everything that's taking place right now, and he says, let's go through this door that you opened by getting the riddle correct. So we go through this door and we get to the next challenge. We step into this large chamber that's pretty dynamic. One of the most dynamic chambers any of us have ever really seen. And inside is a gigantic puzzle. And Marcus Aurelius says that is the Labyrinthum Eternum, otherwise known as the Eternal Labyrinth. It's a large circular stone disc adorned with intricate carvings and symbols representing various Roman gods, mythical creatures, and historical events. Measures several meters in diameter with a lot of interlocking sections and some pretty cool patterns on it. Ones that none of us really expected to see. Nicolas Cage and Illuminati Mike, it's their time to shine, quite obviously. Cage is going to figure most of this out, but Illuminati Mike, strong guy, big guy, great attitude. He's going to be the one who's moving this stone disc. It's heavy. You and I, we want to help out, but we also, as leaders, want to delegate. I give you a knowing look, and then you speak up and you say, Mike, I think you're the right guy to rotate everything. And then Katrina pipes in and says,
Hey, Mark, I'm useless when it comes to stone puzzles, but you seem pretty tense, and I think, you could use a back rub, maybe with an angry Handy J at the end. Interested?
really unprofessional out of Katrina, not only to address Marcus Aurelius as Mark, but to continue trying to seduce him while we're on a mission and everybody's focused. She's really just taken away from everything. But at the end of the day, she is part of the squad. Okay. And so I take her aside and I say, Katrina, not the time, not the place. I think if Marcus Aurelius wanted a back rub and then the second part as well, I think he'll ask for it. But then out of nowhere, Marcus Aurelius says, I'll take the back rub, but I'm good on the Handy J. And in that moment, I'm humbled because I'm a great leader. We all know this, but I don't know everything. And we have to be able to account for the unexpected, right? But as we're sorting this out, Illuminati Mike and Nicolas Cage have solved the puzzle. And in the center of this rotating stone apparatus, whodunit, is a key. Nicolas Cage takes it and he gives it to you. And I'm not the most thrilled about that because I feel like I'm kind of the guy who operates the keys typically, but I am a flexible leader. And so I don't put up a fight. I actually look at Nick Cage and I say, Benjamin Franklin Gates, good call. Good job. We look over at Katrina. She's given a back rub to Marcus Aurelius, and it's going pretty well. She's staying under control. He seems like he's having a good time. He wasn't super tense at all in the first place, but he seems pretty relaxed now, even more so than before. So hats off to Katrina. She's kind of making herself useful. But you, second in command, you know the division of labor that I'm still in the number one spot, but you're above everybody else. And there is something to be said about that. You take the key and you walk it over to this big, juicy door, one of the juiciest doors we've ever seen. Pop that thing in there, and Katrina climaxes, which isn't even in the zip code of okay. Marcus Aurelius turns around and says, I think that's enough of the back rub. Like, you're really attractive, Katrina, but quite frankly, I'm disgusted by your conduct. Plus, behind this door, there could be some danger, so like, pull yourself together. We're all trying our best to keep Katrina in a good lane. But Lord, is it tough. Her dad screwed up a lot. We don't know the full extent of it, but we're all thinking it. We're like, what is this chick's dad's problem? But we enter into this next chamber, unsure of what we're about to encounter. Could be something pretty serious. Benjamin Franklin Gates, brimming with enthusiasm, rushes into this room. And although that's pretty dangerous, nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm, and so we're all pretty impressed. The room's dark, though. You call out to Benjamin Franklin Gates and you say, what do you see? And he says,
Nothing. It's dark in here.
and we all respect that kind of honesty, but we're a bit startled because it is confirming a pretty big fear of ours, which is not the dark, but the unknown, right? If somebody says that they're afraid of the dark, what are they actually scared of? They're afraid of the unknown because there could be monsters somewhere. We've known this since we were young children. Nobody's actually afraid of the dark. They're afraid of the unknown. But what does that mean for all of us? Is that we get an opportunity to over-index on courage and march into this room and take life on life's terms. You, me, Illuminati Mike, Marcus Aurelius, and Katrina rush into the room after Benjamin Franklin Gates, also known as Nicolas Cage. And as soon as we get in there, this room is illuminated. And what does Illuminati Mike say to that?
Brother, Illuminati.
And he's not wrong. In this torch-lit, massive chamber are a bunch of dudes in cloaks that have the all-seeing eye on the robes. Cultists. Very inappropriate. And they are surrounding the artifact that we're looking for. What's that? Minerva's helmet of wisdom, which is suspended in some kind of magic plasma. And this situation is so above our pay grade. Even though we do this for the specialty price of on the house and for the love of the game, I think we can all appreciate that this situation is expensive in the danger department. Very pricey. There are more of these cultists than we can count, and we don't know what they're capable of. They might have weapons underneath their robes. They could be trained in dark magic, blood magic, obviously. And so we turn to Marcus Aurelius and we say, what's the play? And before Marcus Aurelius can get a word out, what happens? Or who happens, should I say? That's right, Katrina. And what does she say? She says,
check out these puppies. Hell yeah. Right fucking there. Spring motherfucking break.
So, as you're probably imagining in your mind's eye right now, Katrina has in fact removed her garments and she's waving her boobs around. And they are not bad. Gravity defying, shapely, expert level distraction, which gives man's best friend, Kyle, the dog, a window of opportunity to run around and violently bite all the cultists' faces off. But you spit their faces out after each one, Kyle. You're not some gluttonous, face-craving dog. It's not about the flavor, it's about the justice, right? As this is all going down, Illuminati Mike has taken the liberty of doing some poses that none of us could have ever anticipated. His quads are just tree trunks. You, me, Marcus Aurelius, we're high-fiving because this is a pretty fratty scene to witness. Boobs, dog violence, jacked bros flexing in the face of fear. Doesn't get much better than this, right? But all the cultists are dead. And we all look over at Katrina, who puts her shirt back on without any of us saying a damn thing. Huge point of personal growth. She's starting to understand that even though she's attractive, some things are bigger than just being a sleazeball. Benjamin Franklin Gates walks over to the helmet, pulls it out of the plasma, and then he turns to Katrina and he says,
Katrina, you need wisdom more than any of us. And if this thing actually works, it'll be pretty obvious because you're typically pretty dull. Get ready to no longer be an idiot, babe.
And although that's true, it doesn't sit that well with us because, like, Katrina just did us a huge solid by flashing those milky bags and providing a distraction. So you take Benjamin Franklin Gates aside and you say, can I talk to you for a second? And because your leadership skills are now so sturdy, he follows you a little bit away from the action. He's still carrying the helmet, but you put a hand on his shoulder and you say, hey, so what was that even about? I mean, you were dead on about everything that you said, but I don't think that was right, the way that all just went down right now. Go ahead, put the helmet on her head, because she is the perfect test subject. It will be very obvious if it works. Go ahead, give it a go. I'm not mad at you, but I just think that you could have landed the plane a little bit better. We all get it, Benjamin. You're still talking to him. You say, we get it. She's an easy target, but she's our friend, sort of. And she's going to have a tough time learning how to respect herself if we don't set a good example of respecting her and getting her to rise to the moment. She's not a self-starter, Ben. Come on. All right, let's go get this thing done. Ready, break. And Marcus Aurelius and I are just floored with your leadership skills. And in truth, you surprised yourself a little bit there. It's one of those speeches that you give and you're just like, where did that come from? But you maintain your cool because Marcus Aurelius is such a relaxed leader. You've really taken that on and you just kind of act like you've been there before and also act like you're going there again. Key speeches, you're no stranger to them. Or at least that's what anybody who heard one of your speeches would believe based on your composure and your demeanor. So impressive. We are all recognizing you as a tremendous leader. And you want to know who else is? Is Kyle, the dog. Sitting at your feet, fixated on your attitude. It's a good dog, right? Good job, Kyle. But Benjamin Franklin Gates takes the helmet and he puts it on Katrina's head, does it proper, does it slowly, doesn't ram it home. She's experienced enough of that in her day. It's time that somebody was a little bit more gentle in the helmet department as it relates to Katrina. You know what I'm talking about. But that helmet is atop Katrina's head, and what does she say? She says,
I boldly state that the United States must undergo a radical reevaluation of its foundations and systems. The notion of course correction implies a flawed trajectory that needs adjustment. To truly course correct, the United States must question its fundamental principles, such as the concept of democracy itself. The civilization must embrace a rational and meritocratic approach, stripping away the illusion of equality and recognizing the inherent disparities among individuals. The pursuit of excellence, unshackled by the constraints of political correctness, should be the driving force. Furthermore, the United States must shed the shackles of global humanitarian obligations and prioritize its own self-interest. It should adopt a realpolitik approach, unapologetically pursuing national interests without compromising for the sake of international relations. To course correct, the United States needs to abandon the trappings of excessive political correctness, freeing the populace to engage in honest and unfiltered discourse. Only through unflinching analysis and challenging the status quo can true progress be achieved.
Boy, does that helmet work. What a show. We are all spellbound by that. We all have the same question. Does the wisdom stay with the wearer once you take the helmet off? And so we do a little bit of scientific inquiry, and we take the helmet off of Katrina. You do. And then you say, Katrina, please continue. And she says,
Hey, you guys. Woo! Can everyone hear me? I have something super important to say. Like, seriously. Okay, so first off, I want to give a shout out to my main man, Mark, who is overdue for that angry Handy J. Yeah, hell yeah, right fucking there.
okay, so you definitely have to wear it for it to work. We all head out of this area, this big room, a lot of dead cultists. We take the helmet with us. We mosey back on the cobblestone streets to the time machine. Kyle pees on a lot of vendor stands in the market area, and we all have a couple laughs about that, even though some of these shopkeepers are pretty upset. But nothing can get us down because we know that we have the tools to save the day back in our time. Who gets to wear the helmet? Who is going to be the architect of all things important? That's the big question, right? We all look at each other, and although I'd like to put it to a vote on who we give it to when we're back, Katrina did mention that democracy is a sham, and I tend to agree with her. So I tell everybody, like, I got this. I'm just going to give it to the right guy. Maybe a lady. Just kidding. I'm definitely going to give it to a dude. Could be like a John Stamos style figure. Maybe David Hasselhoff. Tony Robbins could do some good things with it. Who knows, right? But before we get back on the time machine, Benjamin Franklin Gates says,
We are world-class treasure hunters. Kyle, you are a good dog. Good boy. Who's a good dog?
and we all like that first call out of affirming ourselves as great treasure hunters. But none of us are really keen on Cage trying to snipe Kyle. Kyle is your dog now. Very disrespectful. And so you go up to Cage and you say, "You're my friend, but fuck you." And that is hard to do, right? So easy to confront a pack of lunatic cultists, but to have a tough conversation with a friend like that? My, are your leadership skills astoundingly robust. Illuminati Mike has some closing thoughts for the adventure, and he says,
George Soros is a dirtbag and he enjoys destabilizing currencies. It's important that neither he nor his scheming little bitch of a son, Alex Soros, get their hands on Minerva's helmet of wisdom.
what an impressive individual Illuminati Mike is. That's what we're all thinking. Nobody says it out loud, but our eyes are all saying it, right? We board the time machine and we're all about ready to go back to the present and start fixing things using this helmet. You're holding the helmet at this point, and you look over at Katrina and you say, what if I gave her a little helmet action? The right kind, obviously. And I crack a smile because I know you made a pretty decent dick joke. But I say, yeah, go ahead. Katrina, do you consent to this? And she says,
I've never turned down a magical helmet in my life, and I'm not about to start now.
we're all pretty disgusted, but we laugh politely. And then you put the helmet back on Katrina's head one last time before we zap back to the present. And what does she say? She says,
I lament the fact that I grew up in a time of ubiquitous computing and overwhelming amounts of social engineering. Unfortunately, I'm more of a product of my environment than I'd care to be. Additionally, I don't think I had enough positive role models in my formative years. Although I know I'm attractive, my beauty will fade eventually, and I'd prefer to live a Christ-centered life in a monogamous marriage. I'm tired of being admired for the wrong reasons, and I'm ready to embrace femininity in a traditional sense.
and we all hope that message stays with her. Helmet or no helmet of wisdom. We say our goodbyes to Marcus Aurelius. We thank him for tagging along. But before we depart, I say, who is the best leader of this whole group? And what does he say? He says, you were all leaders, and you all did a really good job, and you deserve to feel good about being the best leader you can be for yourself in order to lead others. What a power call out, right, Kyle? And that's where we're going to wrap up our story, and that's DarbyCast. That's Wildcard Friday.